Councilman Henry Hurt will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by prayer.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, give those sitting around this table tonight the ability to make decisions, not only for tonight, but in the future. We are going to have to make some hard decisions, and we would ask that you'd be in the midst. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Teresa, when you're ready, please call roll.
Hurt,
Here?
Livingston,
Here.
Ehlers,
Here.
Dorman,
Here.
Young,
Here.
Evans,
Here.
Meadows, Beach.
Here.
Hearing of citizens' comments. At this time, if there's anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment, we ask that you come forward to the microphone. And I don't believe we have anyone this evening. Approval of the minutes of the May 18th, 2015 council meeting. You had those to look at. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing or hearing none, they will stand as presented. Consent items, we have none this evening. Presentation of accounts and claims. Teresa, when you're ready.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Boonville as follows. Section 1. For the purpose of paying salaries in various accounts against the City of Boonville, which have been allowed by the Council at the regular meeting thereof on June 1st, 2015, the sum of $670,232.76. General Fund, $255,070.51. Sanitation, $31,291.40. CIP tax, $43,063.10. Waterworks, $86,176.49. Capital projects, $2,385.50. Wastewater, $66,141.50. Tourism, $8,902.81. Gaming, $168,201.45. Parks and Water, $9,000.00. Section 2. The bookkeeper is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $670,232.76, being the total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3. This ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage, first reading on June 1st, 2015, read for the second time this first day of June 2015, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mark,
Mayor, I move we approve this ordinance.
do I hear a second? Becky? Questions or comments? Roll call.
Hurt,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Ehlers,
Yes.
Dorman,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Unfinished business, we also have none this evening. New business, item A. First reading of bill number 2015-017, reducing the speed limit on Jefferson Road from 11th Street East to the intersection of Missouri Highway 98.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, reducing the speed limit on Jefferson Road from 11th Street east to the intersection of Missouri Highway 98 from 30 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour, providing an effective date thereof, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Thank you, Teresa. Item B, consider resolution R 2015-07 approving an agreement with GBH Builders LLC for an EDA project 05-79-05489, the Kemper Campus Science Hall rehabilitation. Teresa?
A resolution of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing and approving an agreement between GBH Builders LLC and the City of Boonville, Missouri pertaining to EDA Project 05-79-05489, Kemper Campus Science Hall Rehabilitation, and providing an effective date therefore. Whereas the City of Boonville has solicited and received bids for this project and determined that GBH Builders LLC represents the best bid pursuant to the purchasing code set forth in Section 2-20 of the City of Boonville Code of Ordinances. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that a certain agreement between GBH Builders, LLC, and the City of Boonville, Missouri relating to the EDA Project 05-79-05489, Kemper Campus Science Hall Rehabilitation, a copy of which is marked Exhibit A, is attached hereto and made a part hereof, is hereby approved. Section 2, that the city administrator and the city clerk are hereby authorized to execute and attest said agreement on behalf of the city of Boonville. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage and approval.
Looking for a motion, Mark?
Mayor, I move we approve this resolution.
Okay, do I hear a second? Ned?
Second, please.
Okay. Questions or comments about that? GBH has done work for the city before, so I think everyone is familiar with the builders and is comfortable with them. Did they do the swimming pool, Gary, or? Yeah.
They were
General contractor, okay.
They're doing the school's work presently, too.
Okay, doing the school's work, Earl says. Any questions? Roll call.
Hurt.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Ayers.
Yes.
Dorman.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Reports of standing committees, Industrial Development Authority and the Municipal Facilities Authority, Mark Livingston. That's for April and May.
Well, April, somebody else attended, I'm assuming, because I didn't start till May. So.
Okay.
But I did attend the May, even though the minutes don't reflect that.
Okay.
But maybe since they were just so used to seeing me, they just forgot I was there. Fairly routine meetings. We'll see some of the report from Dr. Gann tonight, and not much else really in the two of them. I always find it interesting that we sell hay off of the old waste, out the old dump. So anyway, so just something that happens. I guess if anybody have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them if I can, except on the April meeting.
Ned?
Page 15, project reports. Energy Americas, Jim has been assisting Sean with their business plan along with Wilbert. Wilbert reported Energy Americas equipment has been hooked up in Minnesota. I don't know what that means.
So, Energy Americas now has equipment operating in 5 states in demonstration projects. So that hooked up in Minnesota means that he now has an installation of his device on chicken, or on a poultry barn in Minnesota.
Okay. Then I had a question for Mark.
Yes, sir.
I think. On other business on page 16, this has to do with the hay bid. Who owns the dump?
I can answer that.
Can I defer that to somebody else?
Good job, Mark.
I'm in the garbage business, not Mark.
Yeah.
The state of Missouri owns the old landfill. And as an aside, we're out of the hay business at the landfill because the state of Missouri has reasserted their ownership and will be bidding that hay project, not us any longer.
Great. Thank you, ML. Last question, page 17, Cooper County Memorial Hospital. The arrangement for the loan, what was the number of years? Do you know, Mark?
I do not. I was not in attendance at that.
Do you happen to know, Jim? Okay. Nobody does.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But Wilbert probably could answer that for us, and we can.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
Anything else I can't answer for you?
If I think of something, I'll get it to you.
Good job, Mark. Okay, Parks and Recreation Board, Becky?
Minutes are there. We did have a presentation by Schaefer, Klein, and Warren on Kemper Park Master Plan, so they'll be working on that and coming back with further information. Minutes are there.
Any questions for Becky or Gary? Boonville Housing Authority, Mark?
Yes, I did attend that one. I had always heard the rumor that you got to eat. And so I spent how many years on the council before I got assigned to this one? So I got a lunch. So I was really happy. So, as always, I think we should be very thankful that we've got Mr. Rohr there. Everything seems to be running in the 100%. The council reviews things and asks questions. They even ask why he couldn't have another raise and just all those kinds of things. So if you have any other questions, I'll attempt to ask those or defer them to somebody else.
Okay.
And thanks for lunch.
Street, Alley, and Sanitation Board, Henry?
I had to work late that night, so I didn't get to the meeting.
Okay. Reading the minutes, does anyone have any questions? ML was there. I like the way this group works. They get a question, and instead of immediately taking action on it, they take a month and kind of monitor the situation and look at it to see if they feel there is a valid problem, rather than just reacting. So I like that group and their approach to things, so. Okay, report of city officials, city administrator, Earl.
Okay, I think on page 27 of your packet, we have a request from Steve on 2 hearings on dangerous buildings. And we're suggesting July 6th.
Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, we'll just do it at the beginning of the council meeting. And we have the reporter and so forth, and Megan puts on the evidence with Steve, so.
You need a motion for
So,
that?
what time?
Do we usually do it at 6? No. You want to do it at 6?
Do you need a motion?
Yes. To set the hearing, yes.
So moved, 6 PM.
6 PM?
On the 6th, okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Becky, okay. Roll call.
Hurt,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Ayers,
Yes.
Dorman,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Steve, Kate, what's the status of the one on rural?
We haven't gotten service on 2 of the airs, so
Okay.
I think we'll probably have to.
That's the one that's on the corner of rural and, what's that street?
Hart?
Hart Street there, next to the building there, so. But it has many multiple owners, I guess.
And many multiple problems.
Yes. Next item, potential work session date for, if you recall, gosh, it's probably been at least 6 months ago, we had a group come before us about dogs and pit bulls in particular, and you assigned it to staff to work with them and sort of review the ordinances and see if we thought it merited some changes. The council appeared sympathetic to changes at the time, so we've worked that through as time allowed and probably have a pretty decent product at this time. So I thought we would just have a work session since no one has really went through this in any detail on your level. And I thought we might have it the next meeting, the 15th, at 6 o'clock. If people can get here early enough to do that, and we'll send you the latest version at that point.
That seemed to suit everybody. Can you be here early? Okay.
Okay, I have a couple other things. Ned, just to elaborate on your question, they own the landfill, but we still have maintenance responsibilities on the so-called fill for another 10, 15 years?
28.
Till 28. It's called post-closure requirements in terms of the state. In case it settles or the water stands or something, we gotta go out there and fix it, so.
So it's got some pretty good slopes on it that you're gonna harvest the hay from. Is that the kind of thing where we would prefer not to harvest it in order to hold the soil?
No, the
I
grass,
interrupted you.
the grass has to be cut
Yeah.
at least twice a year. And we sold off that responsibility by bidding the hay job,
Okay,
is how that was our reason. It wasn't a revenue stream for us by any means,
right,
so.
okay.
And I might mention, the state's done very well at chopping their request for proposals through us. They've included our permit requirement post-closure in their bid packet, so they're aware or sensitive to our concern.
Great.
And I have one last item, it's kind of a new item, sort of hot off the press, so to speak. It has to do with Second Street corridor, and this is a map I handed out to you. Just sort of some background. We've talked about this once or twice over the past 2-3 years, because we're dealing with a railroad, and more often than not, that's a big black hole. But we were primarily focused on the land on the west side of Second Street between Spring and Vine, to try to get that and clean it up and link our tourism area to Kemper, if you recall. And you realize that's a mess. There used to be a building on it. We finally got the building demolished and so forth. I guess in the last, 3-4 months, the railroad sort of got a new PR person or community liaison. I'm not sure what their title was. And Julie got them to come to town. It was a lady, and we kind of implored her to try to help us get some things moved off dead center. And actually she did do some positive things and got this gentleman to engage pretty well. We talked to him in fits and starts over the year. He always says he's going to do something, and then 3 months later, nothing's happened, to the point where he's now giving us deadlines. So anyway, we have made some significant progress literally in the last week or two. The map I've given you, as you see, is a product of the Union Pacific Railroad. It's not our map. It's not a MECO map. And this is what they've sort of decided they own in this little corridor. And if you, to the right there, that's Spring Street, where it hooks up there and goes on down to what would be Vine, and then starts curling around following the railroad right-of-way. It's sort of like half of the right-of-way, although there was multiple tracks in there, that borders up to the trail on the other side that the state owns. And you see they've decided they own a couple of other little pieces, sort of a trapezoid or something on back there, and then a skinny piece on back to the back, which just border on us anyway, and so if they think they own it, that's fine with us. We were mainly interested in the piece from Spring to Vine and a little more there. So that's happened, and also they've been able to accelerate their internal review for divesting property pretty well. And so we've got some activity going on here finally. As to the price, we started out, I think we discussed this at one point with the council. We proposed and solicited a donation of the property because we didn't feel it was worth much of anything, but that's not going to happen. Their position is, well, there was a building on it once, and there was, and frankly, you could probably put several sort of storage buildings on there, kind of long, skinny ones that sit just on the other side of the right-of-way. I mean, if they can build something out of gaps, I guess we could shoehorn something in here, right? So you could probably get 4 or 5 of those buildings just paralleled from Spring Street down to Vine, stuck in there pretty well. So that means you probably got 4 or 5 lots in there, and some of it may or may not be in a flood zone, but they could probably overcome that. So it has some value. We've not fully accepted what the value will be yet, but as you know, I can sort of go up to $30,000. It will be under that. I'm hoping for about half. Realistically, it probably ends up being about 2/3 that. So that's more than it probably ought to be, but there's not a lot of negotiating with these folks because they just sit there. So, and frankly, once this piece, and then we have one more issue with the railroad on the discharge line at the wastewater plant, which MECO has presently handled. That should be the last time we ever engage anything with the railroad, because we'll all be out of office by the time anything else comes to fruition. So anyway, that's just an aside comment. But the other piece of it that makes it somewhat more compelling is late last year, Kate applied for another Trails grant
I was just gonna
for
ask about that.
$200,000 in grant money, not match, but real money to clean this area up. And we just put in there, we hadn't acquired it, but we're negotiating it. They didn't argue about it at the time, but they're gonna come out this month to do a site inspection. And so that means their decisions will be coming sometime this summer. If we don't own it, by the time they make a decision, they'll kick us out of the application round this year and we won't get anything. Now, it's not a given that we're gonna get it, but I guess we're reasonably optimistic that we may get something on it. So it's, if you could compound that into a couple $100,000 to clean up the area and put a little trail through there and whatever, it's probably worth it. So all that being said, if there's no objection, I'm going to proceed with this and see if we can finally get it consummated. So,
And I have no objection. I think it's just a great idea. And we got to see the plan at the Parks and Rec.
yes, that was the first time we
Which was
engaged
kinda
that
cool.
gentleman, and he's
Yeah.
fairly creative with this sort of stuff.
But I do have a question. This little path in here, that if you don't have a four-wheel drive vehicle, you better not drive on it. That
The
goes
little
up
road back to the Quonset hut?
to the Quonset hut and all of the cardboard storage by the
Yes.
back there. Whose is that?
Well, it's the building back there, the land,
It's owned by DNR. It's
the
land,
land and the building.
it was part of the MKT trail, and so DNR owns the land, the building,
Okay.
and the access rights to get to the building.
So even if we go with the plan that the architectural company came along, we're still gonna have to somehow or another leave
Right.
that.
That's
But
right, they
Billy
have a
walks
right
down
of
the
ingress
road.
and
They have-
egress to that piece of property. They'll have to be incorporated.
And
Hopefully we can-
he had a little concrete section in there for a little, getting off Second Street and going down toward the low water crossing there,
Yeah,
so to
we'll
speak. So,
need something to stabilize that low water area too, so.
yeah, that's probably not part of the grant project. but,
Is that something that's worth talking to DNR about? Or do they actually use that? Not much of what's back there looks very fresh.
We tried to get them to, this guy has a lease with them, and I don't know if there's a term on it
okay.
or what. But DNR hadn't been all that responsive of late either, so.
Okay.
So we get this part done, and then they'll work on that, I guess, anyway. So anyway, I'd like to take the opportunity when it seems like we might get something done to see if we can get this piece past us, and then basically we would be in good shape from the bridge through Kemper. And then that's,
Good
gives us
connection.
plenty of
Nice
places to
connection.
work. So I'm gonna move forward with that absent some other matters. Okay,
I think that's good news. Is that it?
yes.
Okay. Mayor, I have a couple of things. The Housing Authority has asked for reappointment of Marilyn Atkins as vice chairperson and commissioner. They report she attends all the authority meetings and contributes her opinions and discussion, and they would like to have her back on that board. So I would look for a nomination.
I would move that we approve Mayor Thatcher's appointment of Marilyn Atkins.
Do I hear a second? Becky?
Second.
Okay. Let's do a roll call. I doubt there's much discussion on that.
Hurt,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Ayers,
Yes.
Dorman,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
And I would like to bring one other thing to the attention of, the council has read the letter, but just for those of you who don't get a packet and are at home, I would like to share this with you. I think it's good news and something that our citizens need to know. It's from Alliance Water Resources. It's from Gary Johnson, the division manager. It says, "Dear Earl, Alliance Water Resources is pleased to present the City of Boonville per the Professional Service Agreement dated June 3rd, 2013, Section 5.3, a refund check in the amount of $28,212. This refund is for monies not expensed in the repair limit and chemical limit. The 2014-15 direct expenses for the repair expenses were $27,564 with a limit of $46,000, and chemical expenses were $181,624 with a limit of $191,400, resulting in the $28,212 refund. The majority of this refund is from repairs not needed as several bigger items were addressed last year. Polymer costs did increase over last year, mainly due to the increased turbidity of the Missouri River. Basically, the water treated had more mud than normal. Alliance enjoys serving the city and the challenge of operating the water plant efficiently. If you have any questions, please contact me. So that was a nice little check to receive. So thank you, Jim, for all the good things you guys are doing out there. City Councilor, do you have anything this evening?
I do not.
Economic Development, Dr. Dan?
Good evening, council. My report begins on page 29 of your packet. And again, I'll be happy to address any questions you may have, but I'd like to point out a couple things for your attention. On item 2, A3 and 4, we have responded to some inquiries that came to us from the Missouri Partnership involving some manufacturers, and we have responded with the spec building on Project Bavarian Barn, and on Project House, we've responded with both the Nordine plant and the distribution center. Project House has matured to another round of questions, which I have to have back to them by this Friday. So that's just to make you aware of that activity. On economic gardening activities, which you've asked a question about already, is Energy Americas LLC is starting to get market acceptance in demonstration project in other states. They are also starting to address the avian flu problem, which is a huge problem for poultry producers. So we believe that will be a positive. Down to 7D project reports. This is a project that is locally sourced for manufacturing to come here to town. This was an expansion of an out-of-state manufacturing company. I had thought that this project was dead, but it's been kind of reactivated by the prospect, so we'll see where that goes. On the Kemper campus, number 8A, some things I'd like to highlight there is the adjunct faculty and that teach there in the business areas. We're working together to form an entrepreneur club that will start this fall. We're very excited about that. According to Kinsey Dona, of the students that are at Boonville, the vast majority of them consider themselves to be business majors. So we think this will be something that will have great interest. And I'd also like to direct your attention to item 5 there is I attended a meeting of their advisory board, and they could not be more thankful and appreciative for how well they feel that they've been taken care of by the city as their landlord. So they gave great kudos to Gary, is that the grass is mowed, the sidewalks are clean, and so they were just so thankful for that. So I'm relating that on their behalf. And then on item 9C, I've provided for you, and so did Earl, that the local cable company is in the process of being purchased by a French firm. We believe that internet access will be an important economic development concern. Probably already is, but will be in the future. So the Industrial Development Authority kind of keeps an eye on that, but we just wanted to make you aware of that. That's all I wanted to highlight, but I'll certainly answer any questions you may have. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question on 5A. Met with YMCA and 5-7. We keep hearing, yes, they're interested, no, they're not interested, yes, they're interested, no, they're not interested with the YMCA and Academic Hall. Did that come up at all? Did you discuss it at all?
Really, we didn't.
Okay.
So I meet periodically with the YMCA just as kind of, actually what happened is that I've learned of some needs that State Fair has, and have learned of some needs that the YMCA has, and they actually could complement each other very well. So but I periodically talk to Matt particularly, just kind of as a Kemper campus community kind of thing. So there may be something that comes out of that, I don't know, but State Fair had some needs, and they had some needs, and they could solve each other's problems. So, okay, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. City Clerk Teresa?
The local agency funding committee wants to be sure to invite everyone to the local agency funding presentation, which is going to be this Wednesday, June the 3rd, beginning at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. There will be 15 10-minute presentations that will be made, and everyone is invited to attend.
Okay. Building inspector, Steve's report is in there, and I don't know if anyone has any questions for him, but I think it's pretty well cut and dried. Any questions? Okay, miscellaneous.
I have two things. First, on the ordinance for the speed limit, could we get a copy of the petition? In the minutes, there was discussion of a petition, and I think that would be good information for the council to have.
ML, okay.
You're talking about the letter from Jefferson Road?
Yeah, there was in the minutes, there was discussion of a petition, ML. I think that'd be a good thing for us to have. And then secondly, and this may not even be in there, but is there any ordinance, Megan, that delineates the speed limit for certain roads, like thoroughfares or flow-through roads or subdivision roads or anything like that? There's no, okay, and then secondly, the council has control over this. I mean, that the council can act on this.
Yes, you have the authority to
Okay.
set speed limits.
Yeah, that-
Right, it's got to be a city street. It's not a MoDOT highway.
And
As
that
long
is
as
a
it's
city street now, right? Okay.
Yeah, are you asking, there's a default speed limit, 25 unless otherwise posted.
I wasn't asking that, but that's good to know. That's something I didn't know. Thanks, ML.
That's good. It is, 25.
And I had a question for Gary, and this really probably I shouldn't ask you, but I gotta ask you. The number of times that I drive by that pond that's gonna host the Cabela's King Catfishing Tournament, are they gonna be able to see the water through the scum? Could I say it any better than that, Gary?
I don't know. I can't honestly answer that.
Wow,
We treat that water every year,
I know.
and, between the runoff upstream, if you will, and the geese,
Yeah,
we put, I want to try to get in there in the next couple of weeks and put some copper sulfate in there to see if that will help, but I've got to be real careful with that so that I don't over-treat it, or we'll be out there seining all the dead fish off the top
right,
of the lake.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. That is an annual problem that we fight and cannot win.
Yeah, I mean, this is a wonderful event, and when we read this is just great to see all this tourism that we're working on. I'm just thrilled to death with that, but that one just kind
I
of
know.
struck me as a big challenge.
Yeah. And the problem with that duckweed is that stuff multiplies so rapidly that we could go out there and actually seine it off on Friday afternoon, and Saturday morning, probably half of it would be back again.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I honestly cannot give you the answer you probably want to hear on that one, no.
Did the Conservation Department have the kids' fishing day at the Knights of Columbus
They
Lake?
did. They did. And I think, well, and see, the Knights hosted that event this year. I think the Kiwanis has kind of backed off of it.
Right, uh-huh,
And so the Knights picked it up, so understandably so, they went to the Knights Lake.
right.
Now, I know Cabela's has contacted Mike Abden, and I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe that the Conservation Department may be working with them, maybe stock some sunfish or perch or something in the lake out there before the event, because they usually do that.
In the city pond?
Yes,
Or the city lake?
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Gary has a lot of things going on. I don't know if you had a chance to read his Parks Department report, but it's going to be a busy summer. It's going to go fast. Any other miscellaneous? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.